right before that. I'm not quite seeing where that fits in. So. But the essence of this problem, as Mr. Lynch points out, is that you have an unfortunate dispute between what are undoubtedly outstanding and fine people that we would all like to have as neighbors on either side of this dispute. And the dispute comes from the fact that the Plenty's lot, and you'll see in my letter I mischaracterized where the Plenty's live. They live on that very long lot number 9. It's about 400 feet long. But down at the far southern end of that lot, the Carters have 3 lots. And they think that they have prescriptive rights to use a portion of the Plenty's lot. They've been doing it for 20, 30 years, walking out over it to eat picnics, keep it open, look at the ocean. The Plenty's deny they have that right, and they try to exercise their ownership of it. And then over some Thanksgiving vacation this last year, the Carter's son, while he was out, noticed that a great big bush had grown up and blocked the ocean view. So he went out with a chainsaw and cut some limbs off of the bush, and that just irritated the living bejesus out of the Plenty. And so an altercation followed, and the Plenty said, well, if you want to protect your view, we're going to show you what is really involved. We're going to build a fence. And they started building a fence. And the Carters went to the coastal zone office and said, can somebody build a fence in the coastal zone without a permit? And they said no. And they said, well, our neighbors are doing that. And so we have a dispute over whether or not the Plenty's can build this fence on land they own that is right next to the Carters' property line, where there is already a 3-foot fence, but they want to build a 6-foot fence that will block the Carters' view of the ocean. It's not within 300 feet of the Plenty's house. Now, the Plenty's have testified before that this fence is designed to keep people from falling into the ocean off of their property, but it's not on the ocean side of the property. It's on the uphill side, right next to the Carters' line. It has no purpose but to block the Carters' view. Now, staff's in kind of a tough place here, and you're kind of a tough place. A couple of neighbors shouldn't have a dispute like this, and they shouldn't be bringing it up to the county if they do have a dispute like this. But I can tell you the dispute has not been able to be resolved amicably and sensibly to this time. And so what you have is an application to build what is a spite fence. And I've given you a bunch of legal research pointing out that this is a nuisance, it's a spite fence, and it can be stopped if somebody wants to pay a lot of money to go to court to stop it. I hope everybody wishes this dispute would go away now, and I hope it will. But the problem is, here's an application, and the coastal administrator, in my judgment, erroneously granted a coastal development permit. Did so on the ground that the Coastal Act and the county coastal zone plan does not protect private views. Now, I want to know whether you folks want to tell all of the coastal property owners that they have no personal right to a view. I think that is a preposterous interpretation of the language. I think it is a totally erroneous policy position for this board or anybody to tell a private property owner, we're not going to protect your private view. I also think it's amazing that the regional park, who is right across the estuary, said, we don't care whether people build 6-foot fences along the Mendocino coast, even though you can see this fence from the regional park. And even though we all know that Coastal Act protects public views from the public, any public property,